Welcome, Spark. So what kind of Spark are you? Player? Creator? Or both? The stories yet to be told. The games to be made. Civilizations and societies to be formed. The universe is waiting for you to bring it to life. Now, how do we begin?
Hello everyone, guys, and welcome to another Team Dakota live developer stream. Me and Brian are joined by Rusty, our lead technical artist, and he will be showing us how to make lava, as you may have seen in the promotional video.
Yeah, so Rusty was the guy behind the awesome Epic Artist World Builder Pack promotional video. Okay, so how did the scrolling also, the scrolling tunnel thing?
Scrolling tunnels, yeah, they're awesome.
That has blown people away too. How did you go about building that?
So the new pack has, as people will see soon, I guess they already have it.
Yeah.
You can paint different terrain materials that essentially scroll, and you can change the rate at which they scroll. And for something like a tunnel, you just kind of paint the kind of four sides of it, and then you just kind of change the direction in which it scrolls. And so if you kind of take a look at the video, you'll see that it's kind of scrolling away from the screen, and it just kind of scrolls around. And there's 4 different textures or 4 different materials, and they all kind of scroll away from the screen. And so you just have the same material and kind of go. One of the other cool things you can do too, it didn't make it into the video, but more of like a sinking sand in the desert. You can imagine kind of like a valley in the desert, and you can scroll sand down into the bottom of it, so it looks like it's quicksand as well.
Oh, very cool.
So
Very cool. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, the Epic Artist World Builder Pack released today to the wild. That is now available in our marketplace. Comes with great things like terrain tinting, terrain scrolling, some terrain physics for tumbling physics.
9 more minutes of Connect animation.
9 more minutes.
Yes.
As well as 9 more minutes of Connect sound.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see
Which
what
is a
people
huge
do.
deal.
I know.
Huge deal.
It'll
Yep.
be really awesome.
Yeah, so this pack, we've been really waiting for this pack to come out. We've been just waiting to see what people can make with it. And now they can make stuff with it.
Yeah, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
I was already seeing people sharing some screenshots of initial stuff they were playing around with, and it's already looking cool.
Yeah.
They've had it for an hour, people have had it for an hour, and they're already doing crazy things with it. So.
Yeah. One of my favorite things from the pack actually is, again, if you watch the video at the very beginning, you can turn off all the detailed textures. All the beautiful detailed textures that we've spent 3 years making, you can turn all those off, make them solid colors, and you can make really cel-shaded looking games. So I'm looking forward to see what you guys are going to do with that.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, and so one of the most requested things from people is they saw the video, they saw a volcano with lava, and they want to know, how do we make this best with the new Epic Artist World Builder pack?
Yeah, for sure. Should we jump in and start doing it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
All right. So, how much time we got here? 90 minutes, an hour? Probably not going to spend that much time on this. The volcano that I built for the video did take a little bit longer than that. So things like that take a little bit of kind of love and care and a little bit of time and energy.
Right.
But I'll kind of go over the basic principles of how that stuff was built. So I'll jump in. So really, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time here at the beginning, just kind of building out the terrain. Nothing too special, something that I'm sure a lot of you have already done. But we kind of got to lay a foundation for what we're going to do. So.
And so what made you think volcano when you saw this pack? Obviously you thought of a couple of things, but I feel like the volcano was one of the star pieces of this guy.
Yeah, I just tried to think of things that, move kind of naturally. That's, lava is something that just kind of has this really unique look and feel to it. The same sort of thing with moving sand, like really anything that has like kind of fluids and particles to fluids.
Right.
And just kind of try to experiment with that sort of stuff, because it's it wouldn't have been possible without this technology. So I spent a good time kind of up front, kind of outside the game, just kind of brainstorming ideas for things that kind of move in that sort of way.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've been brainstorming a way to use this for making a level with parallax scrolling. I haven't figured out how to do it best yet, but that needs to be done by someone.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will figure that out very quickly. So kind of got most of my terrain in place here. So give myself a general, just kind of sloping landscape. Pretty cool. Let's see how this thing comes to life. So, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint this terrain with a new material. The one that I think I used was Woodlands Forest Path.
Oh, interesting.
So
I would have thought the dirt path.
yeah, I mean you could experiment. You know, honestly, this is actually the first one I tried, and it just kind of worked. So I just kind of rolled with it.
Yeah, I can see why it works.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of paint everything here. Again, nothing special. We're just painting terrain. Just kind of get the general colors in there. So let's see here now. So just to kind of, just real quick, just kind of show off this technology real quick. I'm using a controller here. Whoop, there we go. So I'm going to hold down the left bumper. Sorry, I'm going to go up to terrain, terrain painting. And I'm going to hold down the left bumper and hit the A button. And this is part of this new technology here. If you come in here, you have control over the top material, bottom and side. You also have some advanced options for the different types of maps that you want drawn. And then there's also some physics properties that we introduced into the pack as well, which are super cool. This is also in the video. For now, I'm just going to hop into the top material, and if I just change the scrolling in the X direction, you can see very quickly that things start moving around, which is pretty neat. I mean, you know, one of the things that kind of just immediately pops in my head again is like maybe a fountain of chocolate. You know, you could absolutely build something like that.
Fondue pack.
Fondue pack.
Yes.
Got some fruits already. So.
It seems to flow even better. That the fact you have little hills and dips seems to make it flow, even seem more natural.
Yeah, in a little bit I'm going to kind of smooth this entire thing out so it's more flat, but then I'm going to kind of build in the roughness where I like it to be. But you know, that's just a general, you know, that's kind of how you get things scrolling. Kind of jump in here. You can also do this for the bottom and side. I think most of you can see here in certain spots that some of it's not moving, and that's because it's the side material, because of the steepness of the terrain. We'll get to that in just a second. Actually, I'll go ahead and just kind of add that in now. Let's see, that's the bottom, this is the side. So now, just gotta get this going the right way. So let's do a little something like this. You know, maybe you offset it a little bit in terms of speed from the one that you did on the other one, just so that there's a little bit of deviation between the top and the side materials.
That's a good point.
We'll leave it at 3. We'll leave this one at... Well, let's slow it down even more, just so it kind of really feels like slowly moving lava.
Right.
Yeah, and I can totally see on the side materials now. It feels like it's almost spilling over the edge because it's going a bit faster.
Yep. So, you know, having just small, subtle touches like that really goes a long way. So there's that, which is pretty cool. I'm not going to do this, but you can actually change it's probably a little more apparent if I go into, let's move this back up to 1. If I come to the top material, you can actually change the scale of things. So you're kind of, it's like a repeating texture. Makes everything a little bit smaller if you scale it up. If you scale it down, you get something that looks like that, which is maybe even a little bit more like chocolate. So again, it really gives you a lot of control over the way that the textures are being displayed.
I also have to say, props to the art team, the fact that when it's scaled this large, it still looks this high resolution.
Yeah, absolutely, right. We do a lot of thinking about that to make sure that, you know, you can do anything in this game and it needs to look good, you know, all over the place. So, so I'm just gonna pop this back up to 1 because that's kind of the original parameter that I had used to build this out.
Absolutely.
So we kind of got this in place now, which is pretty cool. Another really neat feature of being able to modify this is if you go into terrain tints, you can actually change the colors within the texture itself. So one of the first things that I did was, well, I want this to look like lava, so I'm going to make that orange. Kind of pump that up to orange as well, make that really kind of bright. You know, lava kind of glows when it's falling. So that's the top one, and you can see that the side, now you can really see kind of where the side materials are. I'm going to just hop over to the side material as well and kind of give it the same treatment, just make it kind of that really bright orange for the other two. And I'm going to leave in a little bit of brown just because, like, there's, you know, lava's not just orange. There's a number of different colors in there, and that really helps break up the texture a little bit.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we already got something that kind of resembles lava, which is pretty neat. I'm going to go ahead and kind of build out the scene a little bit more just by adding in some other things. I'm going to hop over here and add some scorched earth. This is another material that I use quite a bit. in here, and let's do something like this.
Right, and what surfaces are you thinking about painting with the scorched earth? Like, where do you?
So, kind of similar to what I did in the video here. I like, you could build a volcano. I think when people think of a volcano, they think of like a big cylinder, or like maybe not a cylinder, but a big thing with like lava just pouring out the top. When I think of like lava, I kind of thinking of flowing out of a mountain. It just seems like a little bit more natural,
Right.
In terms of where it could come from. Scorched earth, I'm just gonna kind of use to kind of paint the top of the mountain, as well as kind of the places that are not lava within this area here, right? So if you paint something like this, it immediately starts to break up where the lava might flow from.
Yeah, I see. And just answering one question in chat, you can use this with blended terrain textures, so you can kind of blend two different terrain textures together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll kind of go over that in a little bit too, because that's actually a pretty kind of pivotal part in making this all really look good.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely.
So I'm just gonna kind of flatten this out here. So now we got just like a little cave here, where the lava might be coming from. And go ahead and
Close that up.
close that up. There we go. We got a nice little cave here where this might be flowing from. I like to often go back and forth between kind of building out new terrain and making it more lifelike. So I'm just going to go into the rough and brush and just kind of give this a quick rough and pass. Oops, not what I wanted to do there. Just make this actually look more like a mountain. Yeah, we can start doing this to the lava itself too.
Oh wow, that roughen with the two materials looks pretty great.
Yeah.
On the lava. Wow.
Right, so you really start to kind of get this really like jagged wasteland area. I mean, the lava's already looking pretty good. Just come over here. Do something like this, kind of round out my mountain. Something that's a little more believable. And then...
It's pretty cool. It's looking like the lava's just oozing out of those rocks.
Yeah. I'm actually going to kind of take this off here for now.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we'll go back and kind of do something similar to that, just to give it a little... But, if someone wants to do that, then
Right.
absolutely, it's their vision.
Right.
And then just kind of get this kind of flow out here. So that's already looking pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of make this a little more kind of atmospheric right now. What I often like to do to kind of really sell the fact that this is lava is turn all the lights down in the scene and then kind of put the lights back in when I'm building up the scene. So.
Right.
I'm going to turn the sun brightness all the way down, so you can't see anything at this
wow.
point.
Huh.
Right, so it's like you're going to show something like this, people go like, I don't know what this is, but you start adding in lights, it really makes all the difference in the world. So we'll just go ahead and put in this light here.
Andy says it looks like a big piece of pizza.
It does look like a big piece of pizza. It's that was that's what I really wanted to do when I started. I was like, it just looks like lava a little bit too much, and I was like, man, I really want to make a big sloppy slice of pizza. It just didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
So,
It's sort of looking like Pizza Mountain in a way, I guess.
so let's turn up the range here. Turn up the intensity. Make it start flickering here. And so now, it's a little more, the tone is a little bit darker, which you might expect for like kind of a more like a wasteland here. So, but right now, the light's pretty uniform, and I think when you look at something like lava, you realize that as it flows down and as it kind of seeps in between certain cracks, there's like really hot spots in the lava because it just kind of builds up and the heat increases. So what I did to kind of really sell that point is that if you, that's a guy, that's not a light at all. You can come in here and really, actually I'm going to turn down my overall brightness just a little bit. It is feeling pretty hot. Something like that. But now if you come in, you can really start to highlight kind of some of the areas that you might think are really hot, like inside the cave as an example. So let's see here. Do something like that. So
Yeah, I see.
now you start getting these nice little highlights that really kind of show off the hot spots of the lava, which is pretty neat. And you can kind of add lights appropriately wherever you want to kind of play around that. That's all just kind of experimenting with whatever you think looks great. So that's all pretty neat. I'm going to kind of smooth this over just a little bit. It's looking pretty jagged. We'll go back in and kind of touch it up a little bit more later. But
Right. Don't worry about it.
So this is looking pretty cool. Pretty cool already, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Another thing real quick before we kind of dive into the blending of materials.
Right.
Something that I think really helps kind of sell this idea. I did this really early on in Project Spark. I was super happy when we got snow because I wanted to build kind of like an Arctic wasteland. Just kind of had an idea for a level like that. But one of the things that actually came of that I could also do is make things like ash.
Right. Of
So
course.
kind of like floating up. And so if you take the snow
and
here
simply turn it upside down.
and you just turn it upside down, then
Great.
all of a sudden you have kind of ash rising up out of your scene. So you can put this up here. Do something like that. And then we'll just kind of go in and change some of the colors on that to be closer to what the what we already have. So I'll make that orange.
Right.
I'll make this orange.
Oh yeah.
So now you look
Wow.
at your scene, like you kind of start to get the
Yeah.
particulates that are coming off from
I guess
the lava as it
this is why
flows.
you're an artist.
I mean, it's all just kind of, you look at lava, right? You look at a video of lava, and you kind of look at one thing, and it's like, how do I make that happen? And then you find a solution until,
Right.
it just kind of looks that way. So,
Mm-hmm.
so something else here that I kind of want to, I've actually set this up in a really, really good way to kind of emphasize this thing that I'm about to show you guys. Let's do something like that. And we'll just kind of really quickly, you can see here that the full intensity wasn't up for this here, so
Right.
it is flowing over a little bit, which I think looks okay. You want a little bit of that. But the next thing I kind of want to go over, is, as someone mentioned earlier, is that kind of blending of textures.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You can make that happen. You can use any two materials. If you wanted to make your grass scroll, and then you also wanted to have your dirt scroll, and you wanted to have them kind of overlap and blend together, you could do that. For our purposes here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take two different materials with the lava flowing one way and then a lava flowing another way, where you can actually start to see the lava moving in different directions rather than. So I'm gonna build one material that goes this way, or kind of to the left, to the right, and down the center, and so you can actually see the lava flowing through the areas that you've created around it. So this takes a little bit of fine tuning, but it's something that can totally make your scene pop. So let me come over here. I'm gonna come back to this woodlands path again.
And now we're going to do a new instance of the woodland path then.
Yep. And so I'm just going to kind of start painting that here. And now you can see, again, there's really there's no movement at all, because this is just a default material. And with all default materials, there's no scrolling. But we will change that in just a second. So let's just kind of set that up. And then I will set up one more over on the right-hand side. So we can get a little lava flowing over here. Something like this, I think, will ultimately work out. Right, so you can already see, like, I feel as though, you kind of see that kind of flowing down through there, and because it takes on the shape of the path that you built for it, it really kind of sells that it's moving through that area.
Right.
So let's head back over to the first one that's off to the left, and we'll kind of give it the same treatment as the first one. We'll change the color of the top inside materials. So let's go ahead and do that. Oops. Something like that. And now we'll just go over to the scrolling. So that one's going off to the left, it looks like. Actually, no, I'm going to do the top one first. Scroll speed. You could also make lava flowing uphill if you have a level that calls for
true.
that sort of thing.
If your world is truly no hope left in it.
Yep, exactly. So now you can see that it's starting to, because I'm changing the Y speed, which is going this way, it's starting to look like it moves that way. So I'm just going to give it a little bit, something like that maybe. And you can see here already, kind of in the like this area right here, that this actually blends really nicely between these two textures, which is pretty rad. Let me go ahead and just change the side material. I think there's a ton of side materials over here, but yeah, something like that I think will work out pretty well. And you can play around with those speeds too, because as you said earlier, like as it kind of rolls over things, it looks like it has a little bit faster speed as it's going over areas. So,
and also scrolling can be done through code. So you could have set this all up through code too.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we did in the video with the tunnel that was spinning.
Oh yeah.
We were spinning it, and then we kind of just slowed it down to a stop, and then we kind of sped it back up again.
That was a cool effect.
Which is pretty neat. So let me go ahead and just we'll just finish off this right side now. Over here, let me go into the parameters. Top material.
Yeah, so the only thing you won't be able to change in code with this pack is the scatter of your terrains. And that's because that would half the time crash your games. Because changing color of scattering is very intensive. So that's the only thing we don't allow you to change through code. Everything else you can change through code from this pack.
So something like that. That's the side.
So the one thing I will say is those people who really want to mess a lot with code or a lot with terrains and code probably want to turn the scatter off of the things that you're working with, or work with materials that don't have scatter like this.
Yeah, and we can go over some of that stuff too in just a little bit as well, because I think that that's a really, really cool part of this pack that I would love to help demo there. So yeah, this is really looking pretty cool. Already, you can see that you got lava flowing down multiple areas here. It's kind of coming over here, down the center, off to the left. So you know, you got this, and then you know, I think one of the things that I did to sell the fact that this is not just coming from a big hole is to add some effects.
Right.
So let's go ahead and just kind of add some of that stuff in.
What are some of your favorite effects?
I love fog. I think fog makes everything super atmospheric. You kind of tone down the transparency so it's just there. And because you can see the fog, you know, sometimes you see it in front, sometimes you see it in back, and it's just softly moving through the world, it adds almost a very easy parallax to your game to really give it a sense of depth. So I would encourage people to use fog when they can. It's not always the most performant thing because it's a lot going on with it compared to some other kind of one-off effects. But I highly encourage people to use it all the time to really make their levels really beautiful. So I'm just gonna turn down the transparency on this, just so you can kind of barely see it. Then let's just scale it up. I may have turned it down a little too much. Let's kind of turn it back up some.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so you're starting to see a little bit of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least I hope so. So you know, it's that's one way of doing that. I also use smoke and fire a lot as well, which is fitting here for this level. So we go to something like fire.
Paradox Moose recommends we do our work for our promo videos while live streaming.
Oh, that would be great, right? And we could have you
Yeah.
guys contribute.
Oh man, if we could do that for the newest pack that we're going to talk about at the end of this, God,
Oh, I know, that'd be so rad.
what Keith is working on is so cool.
So something like a fire patch, right? I mean, this is a little kind of in your face effect, but like you could use this really subtly in the world to kind of just sell the fact that things are on fire, like maybe something like that where you don't show the entire thing. I think in the video we actually had this thing crawling. It would like kind of crawl out, and you would actually be painting the material behind you as it went, so it kind of looked like fire was scorching the earth, and then the lava was flowing behind it. Another one that I like to use, as I mentioned, was smoke, because there's usually some smoke, coming off. Just various parts, various things kind of catch on fire. So do something like, I don't know where I want to put this here, I guess. We'll make it really dark, because things that are burning like this tend to be pretty dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'm gonna add in a little bit of orange as well, just to kind of like you can see these kind of particles underneath.
Absolutely.
And you really want to make that kind of coincide with the color of your lava, just to really kind of bring those together. Maybe scale it up. Maybe put up here a little bit or something like that. Like this little area has just really caught on fire, and you can kind of push this around, kind of use it. It's one of the things too, like I encourage people, like once you found something that you feel works and you've looked at the kind of reference, you feel like you've got it working, just continue to use it, don't just make it like a one-shot thing.
Right.
So we got this sort of thing here. Oh, and the other thing that is not super important, but I like the sky to kind of go with this. It makes it a little more ominous,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. Like those are the fundamentals of how to kind of do this stuff. From here you can build out kind of land chunks like this, just to kind of make your environment a little more detailed. You can change the way that your lava flows throughout. Continue to add lights. Lights are again super important to really selling, to kind of really breaking up your scene so that it's not all the same,
Right.
the same brightness throughout.
Would you say like colored lights would be a good idea, or you would stay with the white light?
No, I think colored lights are always a good idea, because that also gives you a wider palette on screen, which I find to be more interesting. If you're making something that's a little more monochromatic, black and white, obviously, colored lights aren't really super awesome, but or appropriate rather. Visual filter, we can desaturate it a little bit. Lava and kind of Rocky Mountainside might be a little more desaturated in its color palette, but you could still use colored lights here to really sell some of the differences as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. From here it's just refining and tuning kind of what you want your world to be.
Right.
So really, a little bit of magic, but not really. It's mostly just the technology that we've kind of given to the community now, and just kind of letting you run wild with it.
Yeah. That's amazing. In 20-ish minutes, you built lava.
Yeah. Quickly turn it into chocolate, too, if we want to. Or a big sloppy slice of pizza.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
That's very cool. And so, like, if you had to name 5 things that you could do with this pack that you haven't done yet? Obviously, I guess you haven't done quicksand yet. What are like 4 more things that you thought like, oh, this track would be great for it, but haven't gotten around to doing?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to tackle the quicksand kind of thing. I'm a big fan of. I really would love to do a desert environment, kind of a world built. I think early on, the community members made Contail, which is a super cool level. I like the desert environment and kind of doing something out there. So I think quicksand would be totally appropriate. We're gonna have the chocolate fondue pack soon, right? So I mean, maybe something like that. Honestly, I think you could actually use it for water. I can imagine like lots of kind of beautiful waterfalls. You're not necessarily gonna get the transparency of water, but I feel like you could use this in a very effective way for water.
So the interesting thing is people are actually talking about that on our forums on ProjectSpark.com, and they came up with a good idea for that, where if you just put it right below the water level, you still get the transparency of water, and then you can also change around the if you change around the color of that terrain right below the water level, that's probably going to change how the water looks like too.
Yeah, I think it was probably about a year and a half ago I built a level very similar to this, where there was supposed to be it was snow on the outside, and then there was a lot of lava and kind of mountainous rugged terrain on the inside as you go inside, and we didn't have this tech at the time, and so I built lava by raising the water level up just above kind of the surface, putting a bunch of solid cubes that were like red or orange, putting some hot lights on there, and then along with things like the effects here kind of rising up, you actually got the sense that it was lava. So we can actually kind of take a look at what that looks like right now just by pulling the water level up. So something like that. So I think that's a really neat effect there.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
Kind of underneath. And there's also, where is our water? Yeah, so something like that, right? The desert water works actually really well because it's something that, the color of that water is very similar to the palette that we're already using.
It adds to it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so that's pretty cool. So I think it actually could be used for water in really interesting ways. I mean, whether you're like, you have water kind of rushing down into the actual water plane, or you're using water pools to kind of sell it. I mean, there's all sorts of creative uses for building out waterfalls for like a jungle or something that's really overgrown. So that's something else I think I'd like to kind of experiment with. I think, you see the rotating tunnel. I think that this technology is ripe for creating void stories and sci-fi stories and things that are really kind of moving around in strange ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to see, love to tackle that and see people kind of build from that idea as well. And then, I also just kind of like, I love it when people just build abstract things that don't necessarily resemble anything in the real world, and it's just, this is a moving something, and that is potentially affecting your character.
Yeah.
Raoul, special guest.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Raoul. So, you came to the tail end of making lava.
So
His rusty stuff look amazing.
Right?
So this is Raoul. He heads
Hi
up
everyone.
our A&E
There's a
team.
camera. I'm coming.
Oh, right here. And you can see yourself right there. You kind of caught the end of Rusty making this awesome volcano. Us going over the Epic World Artist Pack.
Yeah. Well, Rusty, thanks. That was great. I mean, it was awesome hearing about just seeing your kind of artistic process, and people love to hear about sort of what they can do to art up their levels. So it's really, really cool stuff.
Can we take a few minutes to kind of show off some of the more cel-shaded style?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Here, Raoul, you want to take this seat? I'll scoot on over.
Yeah, right here.
Jump on in,
Yeah,
dude.
take that.
Yeah, I'll sit here.
Okay, cool.
There's like musical chairs.
I know, right?
I'll sit way off screen. Oh wait, I'm still slightly on screen.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so this is a really cool thing that Rusty's about to show us, and it's kind of like this really basically, or I want to say simplifying terrain, and bringing it down to kind of its core elements.
Yeah, so it's essentially, the artists here, they're fantastic. They spend so much time kind of thinking about shapes and form, and there's just a lot of detail that's kind of built in. But, there's still a level of simplicity that really is very visually appealing. And they do a wonderful job. But, there are times that you want to make a game that just has color, that doesn't have the detail that goes into things like the normal maps and the diffuse maps. And so if you want to make a game like that, this is kind of how you want to do that, I think. So first and foremost, I'm going to paint some pretty generic landscape again. So let's kind of build this out. So alright, we got something like this here.
Nice.
So now we can, the first...
We can kind of see what we mean by scattered here, but it's all these like blades of grass, all of these flowers, all this stuff that goes on top of the terrain that isn't actually the 2D art asset, right?
Yeah,
That's
so...
what we would go for.
Yep. So if I turn it back on here, you can see that this is all essentially what you consider kind of hard geometry. It's stuff that you can walk on. It's terrain.
Right.
And you can see the mountains have this too here. This is kind of the foundation for our collisions and the walkable paths for our characters. And you can see that if you get really close here, that there's actually these kind of textures, and they're not geometry at all. They're not polygons. They're just kind of flat 2D textures that kind of just sit on top of the world, and we kind of waver them back and forth, so you get this subtle movement of the grass.
Very cool.
And so it's a nice little touch upon just having a flat texture for your world. So now if we go back through here and we turn off the visible terrain, you can see that only the scatter actually remains. And so there's just those 2D textures. You still get the general shape. It doesn't go anywhere. But if you wanted to build like a swamp wasteland, and you kind of wanted to build out your own collisions to kind of decide where the player can go, you might have something kind of really, really fun on your hands here. But I am not going to do that right now, so I'm going to kind of put that back on. Kind of inversely to this, you can actually turn off the scatter objects. So here you can actually see what that terrain texture looks like underneath. Again, it's a very beautifully painted terrain. You see it for the top material here. You can see it for the sides. You can see it blends very nicely together. It goes up there as well. And so if you wanted a game that didn't have all those extra details in it, again, you can kind of just take that off. Again, these are just kind of world properties that you can set for your entire level. So
You can also set the thing you're about to do, you can also set them for individual terrains, materials.
Yes, you can. Yep, absolutely. Let's go back here. Yes, you can. I'm not going to do that at the moment. We can get that in just a little bit. I just kind of want to finish going through this menu here. So for those that aren't super deep into game development, there are a number of different maps that we use on our terrains. We have things called color maps, diffuse maps, normal maps, specular maps, and briefly what each one of these are, like this is you can kind of see that we add an extra layer of color, of extra detail. So you start to see a little bit about how we work actually here at Team Dakota by kind of turning these things on and off. Here's an extra color layer that we kind of add just to just subtle color hints that really make the environment shine. So I'm going to turn that off and on. You can kind of see what's going on there. Diffuse maps. You can see that there's actually a lot of information that's painted into our diffuse maps, and without it, it's just a solid color. It's whatever the color of that terrain is. Here's the big one. In all modern games, or most modern games, you see a lot of normal maps, and this is the sculpted detail that goes in here, and you can see on the side of the mountain the normal maps. And if we turn that off, again, it just goes right back to kind of being that solid color. And then the specular maps, that is a map that says like how much light is going to be bouncing off this area at any given point.
So like how shiny it is.
It's how shiny it is. Yep. And you can see at the top here, like for the sides, we have more shininess for that. And you can turn that off as well. So at this point, we have absolutely nothing but solid color on our terrain, which is pretty cool. And when I think about, or when I see stuff like this, where it's like solid color, I think like old school, like early 2000s, like JRPG overworld maps. So that's actually something that I kind of want to introduce.
Let me just pause for a second. Are we on?
Yep.
Are we still on the? I saw chat has not been active.
Let's see. This chat right now. No. We should still be streaming. Oh wait, look at this. Failed to load.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hopefully we're okay. Yeah, we're still live, but our chat did drop there for a second.
Nice.
We are now back. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, it says it'd be great for a DBZ game. I have to agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
This would be like definitely primed for a Dragon Ball Z game, especially with this kind of, I don't know, this kind of reminds me of how that was done. Also I always forget the name of the game, the Borukai or whatever. They had something that looked definitely like this. But like you said, all these games in the early 90s, that you can really capture that feel with this new kind of thing to do.
Yep. I mean, I'm just going to kind of finish pinning this off here. I just imagine, you can kind of pop in, here's your character, just real easily. Let's just scale this dude down. We'll put a camera on him, and then all of a sudden you got a character running around in a world map. Let's do third person adventurer. Let's just change the camera to be boom cam. Oops. Boom camera. All of a sudden, you're playing something from the early 2000s. Put villages in, so if you build out like a little village here, you can go in there and all of a sudden you kind of maybe load a new level or warp to a new area and you can actually be inside the village. So, and I've seen some actually. We were discussing before Game Jam. We saw, I think there was one level that had kind of an overworld map.
Yes, absolutely.
That was really neat. That I thought was really cool. And so this is something that would be perfect for that, to kind of really make your world feel big. And you can go in, and if you wanted to paint, let's make this kind of a little bit taller here. Just taller. Maybe like a big mountain over here. again, you can just kind of remind everybody, you can go in, first and foremost, you can just kind of paint.
Yeah.
Obviously materials here, so maybe you got like a big mountaintop over there that you can't get to yet. But you can then also go in here and continue to change the colors of everything.
Oh, how interesting.
So even though that we've
Yeah.
kind of reduced all of the maps from the game, all the textures, you can still go in and change all of the colors for each individual area, which is pretty bad. I believe. Let's see here if we can do this. I'm not sure. That's the texture scrolling. So that won't do anything because that's the texture we turned off.
On top of it, yes, absolutely. Turns out solid colors do not scroll very well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that would mean actually. And then if you
Well, they're scrolling, you just can't see it.
yeah, exactly. It's still going on for sure. You do something like just a quick highlight. Oops. I can't spell that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and I also I think I played around with just using really primitive shapes and then using that highlight shader to really make it feel like a cel shaded game because people are already doing wonderful things where they're kind of putting that highlight around the character and it really makes it feel cel shaded. But now with the addition of this, I think that really helps drive it home.
Cool.
So a number of wonderful things that you can do here. Just turn that back on, see what that looks like. I know it's a little weird now, but maybe that's the style of your world. And
right.
For some reason that reminds me of that actually makes it look more cel shaded to me for some reason.
Really?
Interesting.
A very interesting artistic cel shaded, but
Yeah.
why?
And I think one last thing that I kind of wanted to go over as well is the scatter for this given material. So if you come back to, I think it was this one that I painted.
Right.
I hope it was this one. Let's see. So if we go to the top material, we go to terrain tints. I've been changing just the color, the underlying color on each of these materials. If you come to here, you can actually change the actual
scatter.
color of the scatter as well.
So we've had the pleasure of having some pretty interesting lore questions thrown our way during the stream.
Sure.
So you ready for an interesting lore question?
Absolutely.
Can you hold a spark?
Can I hold a
Can
spark?
anyone hold a spark?
I think that's a difficult question. Sparks are very elusive. They have to be able to build out entire worlds.
Indeed.
I don't know if any single person can hold. But everyone is a spark. Everyone's got a spark inside of them. So it's a tricky question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I've never seen anyone hold a spark. I don't know.
But they can be held by barriers.
That's
Yeah,
true.
That's
and
true.
be contained.
That's true. We've seen them caged before,
Mhm.
for sure, right?
So cool. Yeah, so we can change the scatter. I don't believe that we can animate the scatter, but it can change its color, which is pretty awesome. You can definitely get some very different looking worlds with this.
Yep. I think we're going to see all sorts of really new looking worlds, which I always appreciate seeing from
Whoa,
people.
what
So.
did you do there? I missed that part.
Yeah, here I just changed the color of
The scatter?
The scatter.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you wanted to kind of come in and change the material, the underlying color to kind of match that, you could do something like that as well.
Yeah.
So,
You can make really simply beautiful games here.
yeah, a lot of these games they end up depending on kind of your color palette, a little bit of your lighting, but also the forms and the shapes that you put in your world to really make them beautiful. So,
That's awesome.
all cool stuff.
Yes.
All really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing that off to us.
Yeah, hopefully you guys, I'm sure you will build extremely awesome worlds. I can't really wait till.
Yeah, I mean, we can't wait to review them. Obviously,
Yeah.
literally, I can't wait until people go out and get the pack and see what they make with it. I don't know, it'll be pretty amazing.
Actually, while we were talking, Nini Chu posted a link to something she was already working on. She made a star constellation
Ooh.
with just terrain.
Should we pull that up or?
We may have lost it.
Oh, we
in
lost it.
chat,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
But yeah, so you can make star constellations.
That's awesome.
with your terrain too.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Well, yeah. Best of luck building everyone with the new technology.
Yeah, I see a lot of people in chat are basically they're building themselves while we've been building.
Yeah, it's a distraction.
trying to follow along.
They've just kind of stopped paying attention to us and just went out and started building.
As soon as they knew how to build out of there. Okay, I'm gonna take Rusty's thing. I'm gonna build my own thing.
Yeah.
Oh, she posted it again.
Oh, should we click on it? Do you want to go card or should we?
Oh, absolutely.
Although it's just going to be us reacting to it.
That's true.
But
wow.
whoa, yeah.
But that is super rad. That is super rad.
Let me see if I can.
I'm gonna use that as my
Okay.
background on my computer.
But if you guys want to see what we're reacting to, there's a link in chat.
Yeah,
That's true.
so
That's true.
very cool. I love it.
Yeah.
So cool. I'm gonna hop back and do some tech artwork. But thank you guys for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thanks, Rusty.
Thank you for stopping by.
Goodbye, internet.
All right, so I think that concludes us talking about the Epic Artist World Builder pack.
Right. And again, just before we move on to the next thing, that pack's out for 800 tokens, which is 20% off its price. The price will be going up to 1,000 after its kind of introductory sale. So if you guys want to get that, and premium users can get it for credits as well. So
Yeah. So this is the must. This is the must for creators. This pack. I'm already. I spent an hour with it in prep for one stream, and then didn't realize that I actually had 1 hour became 8 hours with
Right.
this one long night.
Let's kind of pivot from Epic World Artists.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about something we've all kind of been working on here, and obviously everyone in the community has been working on, and that is the Ford Game Jam.
Yeah. So, Ford Game Jam. It was all submissions we received by the 19th. We have been hard into judging, and we are getting close to wrapping up the judging. And Rahul, you want to talk more about where we
It's
are at
been
the Game
fun
Jam?
and it's been close and it's been really interesting. I'm kind of meeting all the judges and I'm seeing some of the scoring sheets come in, and this is going to be close. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But I think obviously going to be fun figuring out who's the grand prize winner and who we're going to see at Team Dakota in a few months, I guess. But more importantly, it's just been a phenomenal exercise. I mean, the kind of creations we've seen from the community, not only from what we term as a core community, people who've been with us through alpha and beta, but also our new consumers who are kind of coming in and new fans. And it is amazing to see that learning curve. It is amazing to see how people get inspired from other people's creations. And there have been so many more days in the last month where our own team has sat down and seen a level and said, wait, how did they do that?
Right.
I know that was possible. And I think that's what's been the most rewarding part of the Game Jam. So a big thank you to Ford for sponsoring this amazing event. It wouldn't have been possible without them. And I cannot wait to get the final results in and then share that with the rest of the community. So if there are other questions, I'm here. You can ask me as well. I think we keep this on for a little bit. And
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. We have 9 whole minutes.
Yeah, and I was thinking we could play some of the Game Jam levels we haven't played before in our past streams. There's
Absolutely.
there's hidden gems that we found throughout all of our judging, and one of those is Acceleron.
Yeah, Acceleron.
It's
yeah.
has nice simplicity to it.
while that loads, there was a question whether we would be at PAX East, and I'm going to have some more information onto what events we'll be taking part with. We obviously work closely with the Xbox marketing team and the Windows 8 marketing team to figure out what events make sense for us and what events we'll be there at. But stay tuned, and you'll probably know more about what events you'll see Project Spark at this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, once we're done with talking about the Game Jam, we will reveal what the next pack is now that Epic Artist World Builder is out. So
That looks pretty neat.
Oh yeah, it's really, really cool.
I love that play on the power arm sign.
yeah, and it gets
I actually
faster.
have a
and faster.
shirt with that sign. It's kind of cool.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And the cool thing is this also randomly generates every time you play. So every time you play, you'll run into kind of different challenges. It speeds up, gets a lot more challenging, and
I
There's
see.
I saw a question about Conquer while we played this as well. So yes, we're working on Conquer. That's all I can say right now. But we'll probably have more information. More than likely, it will be in the first half of 2015 where we'll have something to share with the community. So I know for a fact the teams are working on very initial concepting, storyboarding of what Conquer would feel like in Project Spark. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the stuff we see around the office makes me incredibly excited.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, like looking at this level and a lot of levels like it, anything in the Let's Get Primitive game jam, it really. It
I just wanted to punctuate your point there by losing.
Yeah, right. Thank you. It really kind of makes me think like, wow, with those simple terrain, like paints that we're introducing, how much more will we be able to add to these incredibly kind of simple worlds, right? To really kind of control the level of art you want to do, because right now we used to have like very complex textures mixed with these very simple shapes, and it was kind of challenging sometimes. Oh, this is an amazing one.
Yeah, this is someone. Someone made a very primitive looking version of Snake. That's just, it's funny. Kind of looks like the Matrix coming down. Cool. My favorite part is what starts happening in the background. I don't know if you've played enough to see what happens in the background while you're playing.
Yeah.
So it's a game of Snake. You're an @ symbol, and your job is to collect all the pound signs.
Which is impressive enough in Spark by itself. To make an ASCII, thank you, game inside Spark is no small feat.
That's true. So he spent a lot of time making it very simple.
Indeed. It was really quite the... This is in the arcade one, right?
Yeah. I just love how there's just randomly sometimes people walk by while you're playing.
Yeah.
I couldn't... When I started playing it, I couldn't stop laughing when the first person walked by. And it gets more and more challenging as, as Snake usually does.
Right, absolutely. But yeah, there you go.
So let's see, what's your hidden gem, Zach?
My hidden gem of the game jam, what would it be? Oh man, that you might have picked mine. I mean, honestly, the Snake one is really incredibly surprising to me. But obviously, I actually kind of like all of the Sparkbird ones, man.
Yeah, I gotta say the
actually go back. The Checkers one, I was pretty impressed with.
The Checkers
have you
one?
had a chance?
Mm-hmm.
This one was
MS-DOS DLC pack.
That'd be fun.
that would be
Yeah.
fun. Oh man, get the little screen flickering, the little RT screen or whatever. Oh man, that'd be pretty cool. But let's see. Well, we got about. How about we do this one, and then we'll talk a little bit about the next pack coming out next week.
Mm-hmm. So I like how the three things we chose for all the hidden gems were all the same category, and they're all under the simple Let's Get Primitive. But oh well, they all follow the same kind of theme of the MS-DOS pack.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, this is definitely cool how someone was able to build checkers.
Yeah.
I can do that. Wait.
Yeah, you have. That means you have to jump them. That's the part that impresses me about this one is they actually got it so you literally had to jump like in checkers. If you can make a move, you have to make the move.
Yeah.
So kudos to them.
Indeed.
But that's pretty much the game. I was kind of impressed by it. It's simple yet complex.
Oh wait.
Simple to play.
Oh, I meant to do upvote. I'll give you an upvote after this. Well, since that took a short amount of time, one last thing. I know we've been in Let's Get Primitive, but one last thing shown there, just design-wise, that was super.
Oh yes, of
cool.
course.
Everything we chose was primitive, but when I saw this is
this level is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It is really awesome.
Just like 3 primitives, and then it's all primitive. How do you do it?
So these are all just primitives. Everything in here is using our primitive props in Project Spark.
Yeah, it's just kind of really surprising.
The thing that was amazing to me was when I got over here, just that
the castle in the back.
Yeah, the I don't know how he must have set up that shot, but Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, really, really kind of amazing stuff.
Yeah. Okay, should we talk about
Sure.
what's next?
Absolutely. So I will go ahead. We'll bring up our image here, our little teasing image. So this is the image for our next pack. It's kind of a little preview of what you guys are going to be getting. It's called Codian Archives.
Yeah. Yeah, Coding Archives is, I think for some of you, it's going to be your favorite pack. It's every piece in here is a new piece. It's a big pack. It's got great things. We will be showing a lot more next week, and it is slated to come out next Thursday.
Yes.
And that little guy in the foreground, or not little guy, I should say, that big guy in the foreground, you are going to like him. He's yeah, he's our golem.
Our
so,
Codian Golem. Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
So you get the Codian Golem, you get a lot of props, you get crazy effects. This is it's a big pack, and there's even more stuff than what is shown here in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more. We're kind of maybe going to tease a little more before Thursday, but Thursday is when the pack comes out. And I kind of want to share with you guys that it is going. Some of it is definitely architecture.
Yes.
So like this, you see a character here. I don't want you to just think that it's only going to be a character. One of the big parts of this pack is the architecture that's included.
Yeah, it's a pack that is, it's big in scope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, to answer Sparkatron, it is going to be epic. Like everything else we do is going to be epic.
Yeah, we should have penned the name Epic to everything.
Yeah. Right.
So so next Thursday we are going to be releasing the Epic Codian Archive pack.
I mean, Russ has a question about the price. Tune in next week, Russ, and you'll know the price.
Yes, that is true.
And you'll also tune in next week and you'll see things in action also. We'll be releasing a video showcasing all the different parts of this pack previous or prior to us launching it on Thursday as well. So you can get to see all of the props in action. And there's a lot to show in this.
I don't know why, something about that face
Yeah. The face mask.
reminds me of Groot.
Groot?
Because he has the little thing.
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
So I can kind of see
Kinda
that.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really great. Well, okay, guys. I guess with that.
Oh wait, before we leave, I don't know if this question came up today, but I have spoken about this. There's been a lot of questions on social media, and I read on Twitter from time to time, and I've been on these streams before, and I'm monitoring chats. Questions about 360. Well, we talked a lot about as a team as to what we want to do with 360. I think for right now, the decision has been made. We're going to indefinitely delay our plans for the 360. So I know that's not really corporate talk. It's just being real. We're not going to be working on the 360 at least in any time in the near future. I don't think we can have setting the right expectation. No plans for 360 in 2015 at least. So, but that's an important announcement.
Mm-hmm.
And that just means we have no one working on it at the moment.
Yes, we have no one working on it at the moment.
Right, we just moved someone off of it and it's not happening. It doesn't mean that it's been completely iced. It's just the reality that...
Yeah, we're focused on our community right now, and we're focused on making our experiences on Xbox One and Windows 8 even more amazing. And that's going to be our core focus. So I know it is Rios 49 says many people want the 360 version. We know that that's the biggest platform out there still. I mean, with the amount of units which are there in the market, but it's something about priority. It's something about figuring out what can we do best right now, and I think we're going to stay very focused on the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, it's just been an amazing 2014, and we're looking forward to a more exciting 2015 and 2016 going forward, and all the plans we have for Project Spark and the community. Stay tuned. We're going to have more game jams. I'm going to run. But just before I leave, I want to say I'm Charlie. So have fun and enjoy Project Spark. Thanks so much. See you.
Create your game as you play? Any Spark can do it. Spark, activate the portals.